Good evening and ni hao to our Chinese friends. It's a great pleasure to be here again in China, in Guangzhou, and to be addressing this diverse and distinguished audience of students from different parts of China and different parts of the world. My connection with China is quite old. There's a Chinese saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And for me, the first step was taken 50 years ago when I was a 17-year-old student from Lahore in Pakistan, heading a friendship group with China. And I came on my first journey, which in fact was a voyage of discovery, of learning, and of trying to understand what China is all about. And since that period, in the last 50 years, I went to America for my higher education and master's, where I studied also about China. Then I came back, became an academic, then a journalist, and now in politics. I continued my learning of China through my 100-plus visits to China in the last 50 years. And then I established a platform for people-to-people connectivity, because we have very good relations, Pakistan and China, at the official level. But I thought there is a need for a platform that can bring together youth, women, students, civil society, academia, media. And the Pakistan-China Institute was formed, which has a magazine also called Yolin magazine. Yolin means in Chinese, good neighbors. And it's a popular magazine, print and also web magazine in Chinese and in English. So in the last 50 years, I've been very fortunate to see different phases of China and its historic transformation. The China of Chairman Mao, whose words resonate with me when I landed in Shanghai on the Pakistan International Airlines plane in 1970, and he said, and that quotation is very powerful and inspiring. He said, "Nothing is hard in this world if you dare to scale the heights." And since then, China has dared to scale the heights of progress, of development, of prosperity, of modernization, and become a world power in its own right. And then I saw the China of Deng Xiaoping, who said, "Seek truth from facts." And then, of course, today is the China of President Xi Jinping. And I was in Beijing, October 18th, for the third Belt and Road Forum, where President Xi Jinping focused on one of the core elements of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is people-to-people connectivity. How connecting people, their hearts and minds, connects countries. And he used a very nice term. He said this people-to-people connectivity leads to a symphony of friendship in the present era. So in this transformation, a lot of people ask, how do you understand China? How do you understand China's progress? This question was asked to President Xi Jinping by President Macron also of France when he came to China in April. And President Xi Jinping told him that to understand China, you must first understand China's history. And China's history is quite a pointer, the past as a pointer to the future and the present. And I think two elements of China's history are very illustrative in my view. First, the Silk Road. 2,000 years ago, the first traders, the first travelers from China went across, trading in silk. It's called the Silk Road, by the way. And moving together, commerce, culture, connectivity among countries and continents. Parts of what is now India and Pakistan and Middle East and Iran and Arab countries, going all the way to Europe. Because on the other side, you had from North Africa, Ibn Battuta, the famous traveler coming from Morocco on this route. Marco Polo from Italy. So this was the beginnings of globalization, I would say, with China connecting with what was then the existing world through commerce and culture. Fast forward to the 15th century, we have one of the greatest admirals in history, Admiral Cheng He. He goes on 7 different voyages, one end of Asia to the other end of Africa, in between stopping over in what is now present-day India, the subcontinent. And with a flotilla of hundreds of ships and 27,000 sailors. No soldier, no weapons, no guns, connectivity, commercial trade, meeting people. So that is part of China's DNA, this peaceful communication and contact and trade. And so when we talk of China today, we also have the Belt and Road Initiative, which is a revival of the ancient Silk Road. The biggest diplomatic and developmental initiative of the 21st century. Over 150 countries. Asia, Africa, Latin America, Europe. Over 30 international organizations. In the last 10 years, China has invested $1 trillion in 3,000 projects, lifting 40 million people out of poverty. And we in Pakistan, who are neighbors of China, are very fortunate because one of the pillars, one of the pivots, one of the flagships of the BRI is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, of which I was chairman as parliamentary leader in the past when it began 10 years ago. $26 billion of Chinese investment has taken place on CPEC projects in Pakistan in the last 10 years. 250,000 Pakistanis have gotten jobs. 8,000 megawatts of electricity generated. 600 kilometers of roads and highways have been built. And it has led to employment for youth, education. 28,000 Pakistani students have been studying in China. And in large parts of Pakistan, it has helped in transforming people's lives, especially women. There's a part of Pakistan called Thar, which is next to India's Rajasthan province, where women never left their homes except to be with their children or just to maybe fetch water. Today, women are driving dumper trucks when they mine the coal in Thar, which is generating electricity, which in turn is feeding the national grid. And that reminds me what Chairman Mao used to say about women. Women hold half the sky. I think they hold more than half the sky when it comes to our part of the world. And in this context, we see this change in China. As I mentioned, under Chairman Mao, the revolution, under Deng Xiaoping, the reform, and the peaceful rise under Xi Jinping, people often ask, what are the key ingredients? How has China achieved that? I always say, quality of leadership, the ability to do a course correction, continuity of policy, and a very important framework, having a peaceful foreign policy, because China is one country that has risen without conquest, without colonization, without aggression, without invasion, without occupation, which is quite unique in human history. So, understanding China, the key is people-to-people connectivity. And I've been very fortunate that when I started off this initiative in Pakistan, that even maybe this people-to-people connectivity and my relationship with China, people asked me, how have you forged this relationship with China? I said, it's not a relationship with China, it's a romance with China for the last 50 years, which is continuing. And I'm very fortunate. My son, Mustafa, who has been educating in the United States, he came back, he also developed this passion for China. And he's studied in Peking University. And now I have a 6-year-old grandson. His name is Sher Shah, which means in our language, Lion King. And it's a great sight in the morning when he says to me, Zhao Shang Hao, how are you? And good morning, Zhao Shang Hao. So, he's learning Chinese also. And for you, I could only say that you're very fortunate living in such exciting times when the whole world is being transformed. The one word which I think you should always carry from your studies here is shueshi, study, learn about China. And learning about China means learning about the world, which is being transformed in our lifetime in a manner which we haven't seen for centuries. I wish you all the best, and study hard, enjoy, learn, meet people, and travel. Thank you very much.